Okay, coming out of this room, basically you just want to jump up. You can do either side, but I found going to the right a little bit easier for some reason, if I remember correctly. This next room, though, it is, yes. This next room sucks, because if you do it too fast, this key hunter is going to be in a really bad spot. Basically, we need to open the door and shoot the key hunter. And notice that that key hunter took our wave shot there with the way that we did that. So there's a few different things you can do here to deal with that. What a lot of people will do is they'll hold a charge shot right here. They'll shoot up, and they'll hit the key hunter with that charge shot, and then they'll just shoot again, like this. And that's not necessarily a bad strat for this room. The other thing you can do is just kind of deliberately go a little bit slower. Do that sort of a thing. That's a little bit faster than doing the charge shot, because with the charge shot you have to kind of do like a hanging jump. But yeah, that's the idea behind this strat. I've heard people refer to a YOLO strat before here, but I actually don't know what that looks like. If QD were here, he could tell, but he's streaming right now. Hopefully he's gonna get like a 41 or something. He deserves it for sure. All right, and then you don't want to arm pump through this whole room, because if you do, you're gonna fall like that. Okay, so just try to focus on arm pumping on the flat sections. And then you want to shoot as you're passing these grass patches right here. That'll open the door for you, usually. I have had it not work out a couple of times, but that's the idea. And then this strat. This is one of my favorite strats in the game, again. So you got a couple different options here. That's the fastest way to do this room. You can also do a speed keep like that. Hang on. Or you can not go for the mock. You can just jump over the hill and then do a short charge. Like this, okay? But the idea here is basically just that we want to get through these blocks without having to bomb them, because every time you lay a bomb, you have to wait. You have to wait a second for it to explode, right? So you have to have. Do you have to mock ball to keep the blue suit? Yes. Not well. How do I explain this? Yeah, you do. Unless, notice that with this strat, so we're doing a bounce ball there. We're able to keep the blue in that way by doing an angle unmorph. Basically, if Samus is in a morph ball or landing as a morph ball after a bounce, and you do an angle unmorph, she'll keep her blue suit. Okay. But yeah, so the way that you want to focus on getting this strat, basically you want to be aiming for this hump here in the ceiling, and you want to press down to morph, kind of as you are bonking that. And what that will do is it will actually maintain Samus's speed kind of up into the ceiling, which puts her in a better position over here on the left side to actually break through the blocks. If you unmorph after landing, it's a 2-frame window, but that will get you through the blocks. And what a lot of people will do is they'll press both jump and up to try and make sure that they hit that window. Okay. But if you want to do the speed keep strat like this instead, this is a much larger window. It's like a 5 or a 7-frame window or something. And the only thing you have to do here is unmorph while holding angle before you land, and you want to make sure that you don't step forward. Yes, input display, thank you. You want to make sure that you don't step forward or else you'll lose it. The input display was actually up from earlier, but it was a different session, so that's why it wasn't showing. So thank you for reminding that. All right. Yeah, I mean, they are always up there in the practice ROM, but some people prefer to look over on the side. I understand that. Also, if we switch to runs, it's better to have it running, right? So but yeah, that's how this bounce ball or whatever works, speedball. And then you just want to let go of dash, walk forward a little bit, shoot, and then run through the door. Okay. And then also again, like, there's not necessarily anything wrong with doing this strat. It's just a little slower. All right, let's go to the next room. This room kind of sucks. This is the idea. We want to do a speedball through the door, right? But depending on what your speed is entering the room, the strat can change a little bit because the waivers will be in different spots. And also, if you don't know what you're doing, it's really easy to like bonk the ceiling right here. So like that. Okay, so here's what I've started doing. I hold angle down the whole time. All right, I tap jump after either the second mushroom or the third mushroom. 1, 2, 3. Then you want to shoot when you hit the ceiling. You're not holding jump here, you're just tapping it. And by tapping it, Samus is moving forward fast enough that she'll still align with the ceiling there. And then yeah, you just time your speedball into the next room. Okay. As far as when to shoot, if you jump after the second mushroom, there are these 2 notches in the ceiling right here that stick down after this. This is the third mushroom, I think. 1, 2, yeah. And basically, I try to shoot as I'm passing the second one. All right. If you unmorph as you're coming off of this, it can kind of swing Samus down. I don't know if you saw that. That's optimal there. Basically, you want to unmorph and then turn. But if you try to unmorph like on the frame that you're falling off of, falling off of the corner, Samus just won't do it. Because this game is perfect and not clunky at all. And anyway, the idea here, you have a couple different options. You can kill this first guy with a missile and collect his drop if you want, or you can just skip his drop. But the rest of these guys you can kill with wave and collect their drop on your way down, like this. Now, sometimes you're not going to be in a position where you actually need to do that, like at all, for any reason. But sometimes that can like literally save your run if you're like really low on health or have no missiles or whatever. Basically, you just want to shoot as you're landing, is how that works. So, like this. Okay. You can also just skip the farm altogether. If you have enough missiles, you can just missile them and run through. Or you can just do the wave thing. It's a little harder. But yeah. Ideally, you want at least 2 supers going into Tourian. Even that can be a little bit of a risk. But yeah. For this room, obviously, you just hang out and wait. As the blocks are disappearing, you can do a moonfall down. I used to do it from here, but apparently you can do it from here. Yeah. So basically, just after those 2 blocks disappear, that's when you want to do it. And if you do it correctly, then you can save a little time. Come on, man. And then going down the elevator, you want to do another pause. Beam swap. Because we need Ice Beam on for the Metroids. All right, Tourian. I could talk about this for a long time. But I'm gonna try to just kind of cover the basic strats and let people figure it out for themselves. The thing about Tourian, there are a lot of different ways that you can do these rooms, and some of them may seem really slow in comparison to other ways, but as long as you aren't like, as long as you're not like getting grabbed by every Metroid and bombing them off individually or something like that, you're not gonna lose that much time in comparison to the fast strats if you just have a consistent way to get through these rooms and kill the Metroids and collect their drops, okay? I mean, we're talking maybe like a 6 or a 7 second room versus like a 9 or a 10 second room. Like it's not that big of a deal, so. When you run into this first room, you want to make sure that you're doing it from kind of the back edge, just for consistency. And then as you run off this platform, you want to shoot kind of as you're crossing this X. And what that will do is it will freeze this first Metroid. I actually piano these rooms, but you can figure out how you want to do it on your own. Okay. The strat that I do is the strat that Zos does, more or less, where you want to kill this first one, and then you jump off of the edge of the floor here. You break spin. You want to hold jump this whole time, okay? You break spin when you hit the ceiling with like an angle down or another shot. If you do a shot, though, you need to hold left. There you go. Personally, I just hold jump, push angle down. You want to pause for just a brief moment, and then as this Metroid that swings around from the left side over here, as it's passing the platform right here, that's when I start running left again. Okay, so that was a little bit too early. And what that will do is it'll group those two together and make them follow you. Then you want to hop up on here, briefly hold and then let go of dash. Crouch, turn, angle up, and shoot an ice shot. and that'll freeze all 3 of them in a cluster right there, and you can move on to the next room, okay? There's a much easier strat that you can do, where basically it starts off the same, but then you just try and purposely get grabbed. You can even, like, hit it down with a missile like this if you want. Oops. I think that's what Behemoth does. You do a mock ball. Basically, you just, you bomb them off, okay? Like this. The Metroid heads disappearing is just a frame rate thing. If you're watching the stream at 30 frames per second, the green on them is rendering every other frame. And so if you're watching at 30, sometimes you won't see it. That's all it is. Okay. So like I was saying, you can also like purposely get grabbed here. Do a mock ball. I place the bomb on this second set of vertical beams here. And then I run to the left side of this X, turn around and run back. And that times it so that they come off. You just want to turn around, freeze them, and kill them. The reason that we're grouping these Metroids, by the way, these last 3 Metroids, is because we need to conserve our ammo as much as possible here. And so, by grouping them like that, we can kill all 3 of them with 1 super, instead of using a super for each Metroid. Man, I can't stop doing the mock ball now. Okay. Alright, we'll move on to the next room. You just want to shoot the door open and do a mock ball in here. You also can, like, jump through the door. The easiest thing to do here is to land kind of, like, not necessarily on the middle, but closer to the middle of this platform, then roll off to the right side. Bounce down onto this corner by the door here. Do an angle up and freeze them as they're coming down to grab you. Okay. If you try and just fall off like this, you're gonna get grabbed. So that's why we wanna go to the middle of the platform, because we want to bait this Metroid so that we can avoid getting grabbed down there like that. Okay. The faster way to do this room is to do a down back like this. It is, it's pretty tight. Basically, you need to unmorph really late. And do the down back immediately through. And then you kind of need to bait this Metroid here. Because if you just go all the way down on the right side, it's going to take longer to come down. So you need to, like, turn and bait it down a little bit, like that. And then you do want to deboost off of this Rinka into the next room if at all possible. It's certainly not required, but it is fastest. If you don't get it, it's not a big deal. But I would recommend, like, freezing it and killing it on your way through the door, or else it's gonna bonk you, and that takes longer. So just like that. You don't actually have to kill it. I don't know why. Well, sometimes. Sometimes you do. Yeah, so again, that's the down back strat. The easier strat is to kind of bounce on the platform like that. That does make the Rinka boost a little harder. It's still possible. Your other alternative would be to fall all the way through the room, like this. And just handle it that way. It's not necessarily wrong. All right. Room 3, you have a few different options. First of all, you're gonna want to freeze and kill this guy most of the time. Except for the easiest strat, which is a grouping strat. So I guess I'll go over that first. So for the easiest strat, you're just gonna group all of the Metroids. You arm pump through this hallway, and then near the end of the hallway, you want to jump, not a full jump. You want to morph and place a bomb kind of on the right side of this platform over here. You want to knock the Metroids off like that, and then just go through the rest of the room. This is the strat that people were maining for a long time. If you don't arm pump here, you'll have a chance of getting blue, especially if you do like a one-tap short charge. And that's really bad because then this second Metroid can't grab you. So arm pumping kind of guarantees that you'll avoid that. Come on, guys. So that's a grouping strat for Metroid Room 3. The bomb can be wherever. It really doesn't matter. If you lay it higher, it's gonna detonate earlier, which can be good. But yeah, it's not a big deal. Okay. There's also a missile barrage strat where basically, so you'll shoot this first one with 5 missiles, and then if I remember correctly, you want to do this jump that kind of baits this second one to follow along with you. Man, it's been a while since I did these rooms. Yeah. You freeze the third one as you're coming down like this. Dude. And then you aim up and shoot that one when it comes over to grab you. That's a little faster. But it does use more ammo. Or there's also the YOLO strat, which is just basically yeah. So the YOLO strat involves just supering every Metroid. So if you had like 10 supers here, this is what you could do. Like that. Okay. That is definitely fastest, but almost always you're not going to want to blow all of those supers. So if you're looking for a faster strat that still saves quite a bit of ammo, this is probably what you're going to want to do. Or if you're looking for the easiest strat that conserves the most ammo, again, that's what this grouping strat is for. Okay. All right. Again, how you handle this room is kind of up to you. If you have a bunch of ammo, I would recommend jumping through this door. So we'll go over that first. If you do a short hop through the door and then you hold down and shoot, you're gonna freeze that Metroid in that spot every single time. And then you can just freeze this one on your way down. You can actually hit these guys with missiles. If you're not bad. And go on through. I would never ever do this with this much ammo though, by the way. I would do this with like 10, with like 9 or 10 supers. GDQ did a 25th anniversary showcase for this game in, what, February? March? And one of the things they did was an any percent race, and I was like neck and neck with the person behind me coming into this room. So I did the YOLO strat, and I don't remember if the Metroids dropped 0 supers or 1 super, but I ended up having to do the slow farm strat. The slow strat to finish is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend this, but that is kind of what the YOLO strat for this room looks like. If you're not doing the YOLO strat, you're going to be doing a grouping strat, and it's actually really easy. Yeah, the AGDQ run. I had to reset this room like 5 times. It's ridiculous. Okay, so you can just run off here and then run off there and do a sophomore, come down in the corner, and all the Metroids will group together like that. Like, it's basically 0 effort on your part. That's how that grouping strat works. Okay. You can do it a little bit faster if you decide to, like, jump through these. Just because we're, like, cutting corners, right? So that is a little bit faster. It makes grouping them a little bit harder, but yeah. And then for the grouping, if you want, you can actually like lay a bomb here and have it open the door for you automatically, which is kind of nice. But you do want to be falling through the left side of the door if possible. And honestly, it's a little bit easier to just group them on the right like that. Collect their drops and go. Okay. Okay. So you want to fall through on the left side of this door. This hopper is always going to do two big jumps like that, and then on the third one he's going to do a shorter one. This is the re-randomizer ROM, so sometimes that will kind of screw up with that. But the idea is basically that you just want to bait him, okay? And then after he's done that big jump there, you can just go and do a deboost. And if you hold shoot for this boost, come on, Samus will automatically open the door for you, which is nice. You also can just like run forward and hope for the best, but you want to avoid taking more than 1 hit here at all possible, if at all possible. So the deboost here is probably the easiest way to do that if you learn how to do it properly. And then you want to do a wall jump check into the door, because that will avoid potentially taking another hit through the door. You want to do a late jump through this door with as much run speed as you can get. And then you want to do 2 angle down shots here into a mock ball. And if you had enough speed, your second shot will hit this little dust guy on the left. If you didn't have enough speed, it's not going to hit him, and you'll stop at him like this. And the screen hasn't quite scrolled far left enough to spawn the Metroid yet, and so it just wastes a little bit of time. Okay, we can talk about Baby Skip. I did talk about Baby Skip already in my RBO Tech Talk, and I actually talked about the same strat that you would use here in that Tech Talk, because it's a lot easier than the space jump skip. So I'll just briefly cover this. We're not going to go super in depth into it. Baby Skip isn't something that you need to excuse me, worry about integrating into your runs like immediately necessarily, but it's definitely worth practicing at every opportunity. So the way that we want to set this up, we want to be looking at the baby's claws, and as they are coming in, when they get to the innermost position right here, that's when we want to start running. Okay. Run. 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 You jump at the hump in the floor. You aim down. You want to be landing kind of in the middle between these 2 humps. You want to pause for just a brief moment, let the Metroid kind of rush you, and then you want to jump as it's swinging towards you. The later you jump, the more momentum it has coming in to grab Samus, and the more of a swing it will do over to the right side. We want that swing over to the right side. That's the type of manipulation that we're looking for here. Okay, and you can get used to this and just do this forever. Like the Metroid is never going to change its behavior like this. It's always going to be homing in on Samus depending on what her position is. So after your first jump over the baby, you want to do an angle down shot, and what that will do is it will clear this little dust ripper on the floor. Hey Cheaty Meyer, thanks for the follow. You just want to clear the moss or the vines or whatever. Oh nice, no music. You can do that effectively with basically 3 shots, and then you want to align with the bottom section. Sorry guys. You want to align with the bottom section that's left over, but if it's gone, that's not a big deal. You just want to position Samus on this weed right here. Okay, that's the correct spot to be standing in. And then as the baby is charging you the last time, you just want to do a jump morph. Oops. You want to do a jump morph into the ceiling, and as soon as you are done morphing, you want to hold left. Okay. Like I said, I think I went a little bit more in depth into it in my other Tech Talk. So if you want more information on this baby skip, you can go check it out there. But for now, we'll just keep going. Assuming that we don't need to farm, or not farm, assuming we don't need to refill, we're just going to drop down, come through this door. You just kind of want to do a little ledge grab onto it. Like this. You, And then the fastest consistent way through this room, you want to do a bounce ball on this first one, and then a mock ball on this second one. Oops. Because if you try and mock ball here, you're gonna bonk there. Okay. You can also just like jump over the pipes. That's not really that much slower. But yeah, just use kind of like your best judgment with how you want to do this room. It's really awkward with all these humps sticking out of the ground. You want to shoot that eye door early, but not too early. Or what can happen is that, where it just doesn't register. And if that happens in a run where you have minimal ammo, you're just screwed. You're gonna have to go refill missiles and stuff. Okay. Do a moonfall through this door. You can do an angle down super as you're passing this corner. It's a little risky, but it's not that bad to do, I say as I miss. And then there's a few different ways that you can approach Zeb Skip. I do usually, yeah. Unless I'm like really worried about it, in which case I just land and then run through, which isn't that much slower. Okay, so for the Zeb Skip, there's a few different ways you can set up the room. With an optimal setup for a down back Zeb Skip, you're looking at a 7-frame window, which is pretty wide. But the setup basically is going to change depending on when you spawn the bottom left Rinka. And I have talked about this before, but we'll talk about it again. So notice the Rinka down here, the one up here, and the one over on top there spawned when I came in the door. No, you're fine. You're totally fine. Okay, notice that? The one below the Zeb won't spawn until we get close to it. Okay. And that's the one that its position matters. It needs to be in the right spot when we do the down back in order for us to land on it. So, what I have found to be most consistent for this, you want to run through the door, let go of dash after the door, let go of left after you drop off here. Basically jump up into the top Rinka. Make sure that you are not holding forward when you hit it, okay? Or else you're gonna do a downwards boost, which sucks. Doing a spin jump there is really helpful because that way you can just let go of forward once you jump. Okay. After you hit the top Rinka, you want to push down and then back. You want to get a nice fat grip on your back while still holding your down. That's something that I said in my first tutorial, and I've had many people tell me that that's what made it click for them. The idea is Samus needs to be moving forward when you freeze and land on this Rinka. The only way to guarantee that she's going to be moving forward is to make sure that you are still holding down back. And the only way to be sure that you're still holding down back is if you're pressing hard on it. Okay? Because if you don't have like a firm grip on it, if you look at my input viewer, it's pretty easy for that back input to fall off, right? And if that happens at the wrong time, then you're not gonna land and get aligned on this Rinka. Okay, so that's how the down back Zeb Skip works. The optimal way to do the room is actually to jump through the door. That will fix the transition. And I'll show that. It makes doing the actual setup a little bit harder. But as long as we still land down here on the floor, it's not really that much worse. It's still a 7-frame window from when I tested out. Of course, I'm gonna miss it every freaking time now. Come on, man. There we go. But you may need to just pause briefly, because if you go too fast, you might miss the boost from the top Rinka. Because in this situation, we're advancing in the room faster. In the other situation, we're falling off, right? And that's a little bit slower. But here, this top Rinka is always going to spawn at the same time. So, do you shoot straight down? You mean for the down back Zeb skip? Yeah, you have to. You want to shoot after. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. See, I told you guys I'm tired. You want to shoot after Samus's gun is below the Zeb, or else the Zeb is going to block your shot. So you want to shoot after you're below the Zeb, but before you've landed. Because if you shoot after you've landed, it's no good. Okay. So, you basically, like, you want to shoot early, but not too early. No, I don't. Sorry. I never ran KPDR. So yeah, and then once you've landed on the Rinka, you'll know you got the skip if Samus is in a crouch pose, like this. Once you've landed in that crouched pose, you just want to hop up and through the Zeb. Okay. All right, now let's say that we miss it. In this category, we don't have screw attack, which is nice. So if we miss it in this situation, it's actually really easy. Before I talk about that, actually, I'll illustrate the non-down back Zeb skip so that it's a little bit easier to understand here. The non-down back Zeb skip is more consistent for a lot of people because it's easier to do. It's also slower, and I've been told that there's subpixel memes involved, so that sometimes it just won't work. Yeah, Outlaw, you want to shoot before you land. Like I said, it needs to be low enough that your shot won't get absorbed by the Zeb, but it needs to be before you land. At most, that's a 7-frame window. So the non-down back Zeb skip, you jump across here, you freeze the Rinka in the bottom corner like this, you wait for the top Rinka to come down and hit you. After it hits you, Samus is going to knock back, and if you sit stationary from that time we got hit by a turret. But if you sit stationary from here when the Rinka hits you, you're going to fall off. Okay? We don't want to fall off. So you get hit, you tap left to end up back on the edge of this little platform here, and then you just do a little spin jump. And that's how you get through. That's literally all it is. Okay. We got hit by the turret there, so we were in a bad position. Okay, so if you fail the down back Zeb skip, the back up there, like, oh no, we failed it, right? Basically, you just want to turn. You want to turn into a spin jump. Come on, man. You want to turn, do a spin jump, take more iframes from getting stuck into the Zeb like that, and then do it again. Yes, I use Y-shoot. Mega Man problems. Yep, I use the Mega Man X controls. Okay, what are you confused about, Clipper? So the reason, yeah, we spin right and then spin back left. And the way that I'm doing that is just by turning right and jumping. Remember, if you spin in a, or sorry, if you jump in a turnaround animation, Samus is going to do a spin jump. Okay, so if we press left and then jump, and we continue holding left from facing right, it's going to be a spin jump. Same with going to the right. Okay, it's just like a buffer jump, except you're kind of reversing the inputs. So you're pushing right first and then jump. And even though Samus hasn't started walking yet to the right, she's going to do a spin jump. So we're taking advantage of that to to do a spin jump away from the Zeb. Basically, okay, here's the takeaway. We need to do a spin jump onto this Rinka, okay? That's the takeaway. Doing a spin jump onto the Rinka will put us inside of the Zeb, which will give us iframes. If you look at my HP right now, we have 330, 349, okay? 344. When we do this, we get iframes, but we don't take any damage. And that's because the Zeb itself doesn't do any damage to Samus, but it's still considered an enemy, so we get iframes when we end up inside of it. And those iframes are what allow us to clip through it. Yeah. So the objective here, by doing the spin jump away and then back to it, is really only so that we end up getting iframes by getting inside of the Zeb. And then we do a second spin jump to get through it, just like we would if we did this knockback method. Okay. You have other questions. So, we get past the Zeb. As far as platforming goes for the rest of this, you want to run off after you clip through here. You don't have to do an aim down, but you can if you're worried about having enough run speed. Oops. Okay, to get onto this next platform. Then you want to morph through this bottom hole. You can do a down back here, or not a down back, a gap skip by using aim down. You want to jump through here. You don't actually have to land on this this middle platform. You can make the jump all the way through. It's just kind of tight. So usually I land here. And then you want to go through the bottom here. You can go through the top, but it's really hard to make it faster when you don't have plasma beam. So I recommend going through the bottom. And then as you're coming through the bottom, you want to lay a bomb. Oh my gosh, come on. You want to lay a bomb right here and then freeze the Rinka. Now, the way that these Rinkas spawn, they spawn again immediately after being killed. But notice that these Rinkas are not spawning again immediately. That's because they were frozen. When that happens, the game actually won't respawn them until their freeze timer would have run out. Okay. So notice, we'll do a save state over there. Okay. I'm not going to freeze this one on the right. We're just going to kill it with a bomb. Notice that it respawned again immediately. but the other two don't respawn immediately. That's because this bottom one never got frozen. Okay. So you do want to kill it with the bomb, but you want to make sure that you freeze it first. That will prevent them from respawning immediately, and you don't have all these Rinkas flying at you while you're trying to deal with the tank. So that's the strat to deal with those Rinkas here. And then you kind of just want to sit on the left side of this little platform and spam missiles. Once you've shot 15 missiles into Mother Brain, normally you'd have 7 supers here. You'd finish off with 7 more supers. Since we only have 6, but we have 20, we actually need to shoot an additional 3 missiles. And that's what will finish this for us. Mother Brain takes 3,000 damage, okay, to go down. And we also have to account for the first 6 missiles here that break the tank so that we have an opening, okay? So now every shot that we get into the brain is damage. So that's 100 damage, that's 300 damage. So if we don't have enough damage, then we can't finish, right? But yeah, so you need a minimum, coming into this room, you need a minimum of 15 missiles and 7 supers, or 20 missiles and 6 supers. Yeah. Watch out for these turrets. They are RNG, so you just kind of need to keep an eye on them. If you notice that either of these are pointing left, then you just need to be really cautious. They have the stupidest hitboxes in the history of forever. Because this game is perfect and not clunky at all. See, so we just got screwed there because a turret took our super missile out when it was trying to go through. If there's a shot coming out from one of these turrets, it can literally snipe you from like really far away. Like the shot can be like all the way up here, and your missile is like down over here, and it'll explode it. It's the dumbest thing ever. That happens a lot more with diagonal missiles than it does with horizontal missiles. So technically you can avoid it by doing more horizontal shots, but really nothing is safe. You just need to keep an eye on those turrets. If you notice them pointing left, just be cautious. And if that's worth mentioning, if you get bonked by one of these turret shots, it's gonna leave a poof of smoke, and it's not safe to shoot until that poof of smoke is completely dissipated, and it actually leaves a white pixel behind. Oh, look, we got sniped right there. So we'd be screwed now. Okay. If you look at the Rinka, to the bottom left of the Rinka, there's this little white dot. That white dot is actually left over from the poof of smoke from the turret cloud. It's still there. It's still there. Now it's gone. If we were to shoot a missile at any point while that white pixel was still there, it would bonk. Basically, if you take a hit from one of these turrets, you basically, like, you just want to stop shooting missiles for a long freaking time before you continue. All right, Mother Brain. We need a minimum of 301 damage at the end of this fight to survive this fight. That's why we have 3 energy tanks at a minimum. Mother Brain takes 60 shots with Ice Wave Spazer charge shots to die. And after 46 shots is when she will start her catch-up beam phase. Other than that, all you need to know is how to deal with each of her patterns. So she has onion rings that she shoots out. Those are the blue rings. And onion rings ignore iframes, okay? So you can get, basically you can get chained by the onion rings. She shoots 4 at a time. And if you get hit by the bottom one in the wrong position, you'll then get hit by the other 3 in succession. And I think they do 20 damage a piece. So that's 80 damage right there. So that can definitely kill your run. She also has French fries, which are eye lasers that she shoots out, and I'll point those out. She has meatballs that she drops. They're bombs that she drops on the floor. And then she has her ketchup beam and her rainbow beam. Okay. So with onion rings and French fries, basically the idea is that you want to bait her into those in positions that are easy to dodge. So she shot onion rings down at us when we were down in the bottom corner. We did kind of a tall jump there. And the reason we did that was because we were basically baiting out another shot of onion rings that we could just stand stationary and have fly over us. But something that you need to keep in mind is sometimes she'll follow up with like a French fry, like that. So you don't want to jump too high under any circumstance. Also, just jumping in general puts you closer to her head. And whenever you do that, the AI rolls and tries to decide if it wants to shoot a French fry. It's like a 60-40% chance or something. So you can definitely, like, you can bait out multiple French fries if you just keep jumping like this. Okay? That's not necessarily a good or a bad thing, but if you find yourself in a situation where you're kind of wishing for a French fry, you can try jumping for that. See? Okay. For these meatballs, you'll see some people bomb them. That's the only way to get rid of them, by bombing them. And honestly, you don't want to do that because it's really slow and it's not really very safe either. Like, people think that it is, but it's really not, because if she decides to be aggressive and like shoot onion rings at you while you're unmorphing or something, that's really bad. Okay. Okay. So when a meatball explodes, it does it in a way that the explosion kind of spreads out on the floor. You want to aim for the middle of that. If we land in the middle of this explosion, since we have gravity suit, we're going to take 0 damage. Okay. We were just to the right of the middle there, so we took 20 damage instead. But generally, you always want to aim for the middle of these. Also, you can aim down to shrink your hitbox as you're landing, and that can help you avoid the damage to begin with as well, because it will take longer for you to reach the hitboxes down there. Also with meatballs, you kind of want to do a late jump. You kind of want to watch. They're always going to explode at the same time. It's after these, like, does 3 big bounces and then like 2 smaller bounces, and then it explodes. So as long as she's not like shooting onion rings at you or something, basically you just want to wait as long as possible and then jump and then aim for the middle. Okay. far as dealing with onion rings and French fry patterns, the best thing I can tell you is to load up a Mother Brain fight and practice fighting her, not even just with Ice Wave Spazer, but like turn your beams off and just use Charge Beam or just use Ice Beam or something, and just sit here and fight her for a while. And, you know, try to avoid taking damage from these patterns as much as possible. You'll find she tends to do the same set of things over and over, just in different orders or slight variations. And eventually you're going to find kind of a comfortable pace to the fight. To, like, you know, how often do I want to jump, and like when do I want to release my shots, and are there situations where, you know, maybe I want to do like an aim down hitbox where I wouldn't otherwise, or like, you know, just kind of stuff like that, right? You're only going to develop those types of instincts by fighting Mother Brain over and over and over. So something you can do to avoid meatball explosions if you end up in a really awkward situation with like onion rings that made you jump early or something, you can do a morph and then an unmorph, and that will make Samus hang in the air for a little bit. I did that totally wrong, but basically it resets your fall momentum, and that can help you avoid the damage on the floor. If you notice, like, oh no, I'm clear to the left and there's no way you're gonna make it back to the middle, that's probably what I would do. Like that. Okay, so yeah, then the only other thing to keep in mind is that you definitely want to count your shots here. So like I said, after 46, that's when ketchup will start. That's 5. 10, I think. Also, stand in the back corner here pretty much exclusively. You don't ever want to get super close. I think we're around 40 here. So here's where I'd start kind of watching for catch-up. And it should be right here. Yep. So she decided to use a French fry there as the meatball was exploding. If she hadn't used that French fry, she would have catch-upped basically immediately when that meatball exploded. And that's just kind of a behavioral thing that you'll notice. Like, she won't use ketchup during certain other animations. So like if there's a meatball on the screen, she won't use ketchup until the meatball is gone, and like stuff like that. Okay. You take the rainbow beam hit, and then basically, since we have less energy here for any percent, we can't do the stand-up glitch unless we carry a Shine Spark all the way here. And the time that takes to set up, combined with the fact that we only have Spazer, actually makes it not worth it at all. If I remember correctly, it's actually slower, so. But yeah, we'll talk about the rest of this fight, and then we'll talk about escape. Okay. For the Hyper Beam fight, there's not a lot to tell. Basically, we just want to align ourselves with this bar here in the background. Okay. That's for lag reasons. So you want to be either on the bar or slightly behind it. And then the way that I handle this is 2 angle shots, sometimes 3. and 2 horizontal shots. You want to do full jumps the whole time. Like this. And that's really basically it. Sometimes you're going to get more lag than other times. The main thing is just you want to make sure that you don't give Mother Brain much of a chance to get projectiles and stuff off, because those will cause more lag. Okay. You'll see some people like sit in the corner here and just do this, and you can do that, but that causes a lot of lag, as you can see. So that's kind of why we want to get closer. Unfortunately, you can't just hold shoot here. You do have to time your shots. And then she goes down. Okay. You want to hold dash and left here. And then as the word escape finishes typing out right here, that's when you want to jump. You want to do a full jump up to the ceiling. So that was early. And that will get us through the door without losing any time off the timer. I think technically you can save a couple of frames if you don't do a full jump to the ceiling, but yeah. Coming through this door, that was early again, I think. Okay. You want to hold left and shoot and angle down. 2 shots will get you all the way through as long as you're running the entire time. So I'll show that. So just 2 angle down shots like this. You can run all the way to the left here. What you don't want to do is swing back to the right after going all the way to the left, because that can give you a really bad door transition. So that was a 98 frame transition. Whereas if you don't turn right at all, there's no, I think that's a 1 frame. No, not even 1 frame. So yeah, it's fine to turn right because we're going to be going right down the next room anyway. Just make sure that you don't like pull forward to the right, I guess, what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you can do kind of like a flatly fall here if you turn right as you're coming off the corner. And there's something else that you can do. You can morph and unmorph if you want, which can actually save a little time here because you don't end up landing on this platform. Okay. Usually, that's what's going to happen. You're going to fall through the door. You're going to land on the platform. You can either run off. You just want to get on the right side of the wall, aim down, and shoot a hyper beam. It'll kill the pirate and open the door for you. Or you can do a little mini spin jump here. The spin jump is technically faster if you do it optimally, but it's kind of hard to do optimally. Like that, okay. You want to come down here, arm pump, get your blue. You want to hold angle up, but make sure that you don't release right before you charge your shine spark here, or that's what's going to happen. So when you press down to charge your shine spark, make sure that you are also holding right here. And then basically after the 3rd pirate, 1, 2, 3, that's when you want to do your diagonal spark upwards. Okay, we're gonna take a laser shot here. Well, this laser shot, like normally you'd think that that's kind of annoying, right? But that's actually a good thing because it gives us iframes. So we want a door check right here, and these iframes allow us to jump up through this pirate on the wall. Okay, If we wait until the iframes are gone and then we jump through the door, we're gonna bonk this pirate on the wall. Oh no, and then we fall down and then we die. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying. So you want to wall jump up this left wall. And then there are a couple different options you have here. You can either go up the middle, which is easier. But if you do that, you want to make sure that you kill that pirate. It's also a little bit more laggy. Okay. But yeah, basically you want to get all these pirates out of your way. And then just come up the right side here, like this. Or generally the faster thing to do is to come up the left. You can do 2 big wall jumps and then shoot this one on the left with an angle shot. If you're not quite high enough, you can do an aim down to do a down grab onto this this little lip here. Okay. Then jump up like this. Jump down here. You want to do a moonfall down this, and you want to shoot that pirate on your way down. Man. You'll fall all the way down, and then you want to come back up this way. I do either 5 or 6 wall jumps on the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get up onto this platform. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to do ledge grabs and then shoot right there to clear the pirates. And then what I do personally is I shoot again, and then I like press dash while I'm shooting, and then I shoot again with dash release, and then I press dash again. It sounds kind of dumb. It's just kind of something that I've gotten used to with my control scheme. But yeah, I guess I don't actually repress dash, but I just kind of delay my dash press, I guess. I shoot twice. That gets the door open every single time. I've seen people also basically, like, they're holding dash and they shoot as they're running forward. That will Doppler your hyper beam, which will make it travel faster and open the door for you so you won't bonk. The main thing is you want to make sure that you have blue coming into this next room. So you can hear that we have blue now. If you don't have blue and you're worried that you might not get it, you want to hold shoot coming out of this door to take out both of those pirates. It's a little bit more laggy, but don't lose a run to bonking the pirates like I did, because that just sucks. Okay. All right, coming into this room, this is another one of those hold R situations where you want to make sure that you don't release forward. Basically, you want to charge your shine spark in the middle of this room and then spark upward. You can also charge it and then run forward and do it from like a standing position. If you do it from a standing position, you're gonna bonk that lower platform. If you do it from a crouched position, you're gonna clip through the platform. I've heard contradicting arguments from people about which one is faster. For me, I tend to almost always have it be faster to go through the platform. You can do it earlier, like you can do it right here, for example. But the thing is, if you do it in the wrong spot, you're gonna bonk, okay? There are a few different spots here where you're actually going to bonk platforms if you try and do the diagonal spark. So you need to be careful, because that sucks. But yeah, they call it the behemoth spark. It's a diagonal climb escape spark. And the reason we do it is because it's faster than coming over all the way to the right and shooting up. but this is technically safer. So feel free to do that instead if you want to. The Zeni Spark refers to bonking the platform, because that's what I did in my RBO world record, because I was a genius. My first world record. So yeah, and then this room's a pain, but we can talk about it. So if you hold left and angle up, you run off this platform, and then you shoot, you're gonna hit the door every single time. Laser door! Let's go. If possible, you want to jump through the door. Man. You want to jump through the door, like, going to the right as much as possible. I love laser doors! They're not as cool as bubble doors, though. If you're far enough right, you're going to avoid bonking this platform here, okay? So, try to get a feel for whether that's going to happen. We're definitely going to bonk here. And, make a decision on how you want to handle this room based on that. If you know that you're going to clear it, probably the best thing you can do is like that sort of a thing, or do a wall jump here and then jump up. Okay? But basically, we want to go straight up as much as possible. So we don't want to like land here and then run over to the left and then like run up to the right. We don't want to like land and then go over to the left and do stuff like that. Our goal is to get up, okay? The fastest way up is through the middle, and we have high jump, so we can more or less go through the middle the entire time. If you think you're gonna bonk here, just land and then do a speed, like run just a short distance and jump up, and then you can do a down grab onto this middle platform. Okay. You can add a wall jump right here. It's not as tight as it looks, but it's also not free. And it is a little faster. But the easier thing to do is to just... Once you get onto this platform right here, after this middle one, you want to run and jump until you get here. Do a wall jump off this one on the left, and then again off this one. These platforms are really deceiving on when you can ledge grab on them, so it's safer to pretty much always down grab on them instead. I had an RBO run that was a 10002, and the reason it was a 10002 is because I tried to ledge grab this platform right here specifically, and I fell. And I had to go back up, okay? So yeah, the safer thing to do is definitely to do a down grab. And then you just want to get up there. Don't do that. That's really bad. Zos did that in one of his most recent records that he got. It was really sad. You can do a mock ball here. You don't have to. The steam is RNG, so sometimes it's going to bounce you. Sometimes you can KO through it. But yeah, basically, morphing here is almost always going to be worth it. Okay. You just want to shoot to open the door. Run through. And pray that you don't get steamed here and get on the ship. And that's it, guys. That's everything. That's the whole game. We went through the entire game again in a different boss order to help people learn how to play the game. You're welcome, guys. I'm sorry for anywhere that I was less than stellar with these explanations. I know, like, as I watch it back, there's stuff where I'm like, that's not good enough and whatever. But hopefully these are generally helpful for people. Thanks again for watching, and maybe I'll see you guys later tonight, and if not, then I will see you next week. Good night, guys.